is for
Yeah.
you.
Fly was flying on the team. Touchdown, touchdown. Time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a bird gang nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here calling on Philly the podcast. And we can call a man dog or watch Miles score off the handoff. Rest of the division, your man saw Jackson like Sean, hunting like Randolph. Season here, early time to do them in. Your boy Philly Fresco. Thanks for tuning in.
What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, and it is Philly the podcast. Today we have a very special guest from the Thomas Mott Show live himself. It's him himself, man. We got Thomas Mott on the show. How's it going, brother?
What's up, man? Hey, it's good to be here. This is fun.
Definitely. Yeah, we're going to have a little bit of fun, man. Season's right around the corner. Everybody's excited. I know I'm excited. So we're going to talk a little bit of football. Now, before we get into the future, right, before we talk about what we feel like is going to happen, I want to relive the past a little bit with you. I've said on this show a couple of times, this feels like one of the best, if not the best, off seasons the Birds have had. I want to ask you, how did you feel going through this off season, just everything that happened?
Yeah, I think it was kind of a slow burn. You know, it took him a little bit to kind of get to the draft and do the whole AJ Brown thing. And so it was nice. Like the Reddick signing, I was like, okay, that's really good. The White signing was pretty good. But after you got through the draft, it was like, wait a second. This is, like you said, very clearly one of the best off seasons we've had in a while. I was trying to think back to like the 2016 off season before 2017. Yeah. And I mean, like they had good moves there, but the hype wasn't that big, you know, like it just wasn't the hype that there is right now. And I think that Howie Roseman did a heck of a job. And I don't know where you were at on Howie Roseman just a couple of years ago. I feel like every single Eagles fan kind of does this on Howie Roseman, but I think all of us deserve, or all of us at least need to give him like a total apology for ever bashing him in the history of, you know, being an Eagles GM. He's made bad moves, but this offseason was, dude, Joe, I mean, come on. This has been the most fun offseason ever in Eagles history.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's funny you bring that up because that was going to kind of be my next topic. You know, you hear the name Howie Roseman, and I feel like it resonates a little bit differently, like you said, than it did maybe a couple years ago. And even on the 2016 season, I dug through a lot of these seasons, even going back to the Dream Team season, right? And it's like, it just didn't make as much sense as it does now. A lot of top end talent, you know, back in that Dream Team season, whatever. I know a lot of people are like, stop talking about that, Joe. But you know, you look at that, it just, every move made sense this year. I feel like this was the first time in a long time that as an Eagles fan, I felt listened to, right? I felt heard. So it was definitely really a lot of fun. Now, I want to look at this roster, right? And a lot of people talk about the AJ Browns. A lot of people talk about Devontae Smith, rightfully so. But I want to ask you, are there any players on this roster that you look at and say, this guy might sneakily have a big season for the Eagles?
Yeah, I think we mentioned him earlier in Kazir White. I think that he was the free agent signing that got completely lost in the shuffle. Like there was so much pandemonium and excitement. It was like, oh yeah, we got Kazir White. I think he's going to be really, really good. And I think that Nakobe Dean is going to play way less just because of him. I think they're going to find ways to get Dean on the football field, but I think the White signing was like unbelievable. I mean, the fact they were able to go ahead and, you know, what they got him for and bringing him over from the from the Chargers was a really good move. You know, I'm very curious to see what Gardner Johnson does. And there's a lot of, you know, hype around him being signed. Played a lot of nickel last year. He's going to be basically, I think, a sole safety this year because Avonte Maddox is in the nickel spot. I think the hype is really high. I think in Philadelphia, our expectations for safeties is either Brian Dawkins or Malcolm Jenkins. Like you have to be one of those two to actually be a good safety. So I don't want to overhype him. I don't want to undersell him either because he's a really good player, but I do wonder kind of what he's going to do this year for Philadelphia. If he's going to be like an established, this is one of the best safeties in the league, or if he's going to be kind of just like a, you know, nice piece here on what else is probably the best roster, again, or at least best defense in the NFC East and probably pretty darn close in the rest of the NFC. So, yeah, I mean, A.J. Brown gets all the hype, and rightfully so. Everyone's hyped about Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean. I think White is that kind of closet guy where he's not going to like flash every single week. Like you're going to have to watch specifically to see him make a play, but he's going to be making plays all year long. And we're going to look back and go, oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, no, he was a really, really good pickup.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people bring up that first interception he got in the
Yeah,
preseason game, but
right.
you look at how he just filled the gaps. You look at how hard he hit some of these guys. There was one play I think he knocked one of the offensive linemen back into their actual running back. So it's stuff
Yeah.
like that, you know, that really sticks out to me. And then my light turns off every 5 seconds. You gotta love it. But either way, you know, it's little stuff like that that I really think is gonna, you know, stand out for this linebacking core. Tom, when's the last time we could say something like this about our linebacking core, right? This feels good.
Gosh. I
So,
mean, obviously, like
yeah,
the 2003 team when you had Trotter and Ike Reese, I guess, was kind of the last time that they actually had like multiple good linebackers. I was watching like highlights of let me think about this. What game was it? Like the 2010 wild card loss to the Green Bay Packers the other day, and Stuart Bradley's your middle linebacker there, and you're like,
yeah,
oh my gosh, there's a name from the past. And yeah, maybe D'Amico Ryans, like I think they were I can't name another linebacker who was alongside D'Amico Ryans during that year. I'm trying to think back to I mean, Kendricks was really good, but it just 1, 2, 3. They have three really good linebackers right now, and I think TJ Edwards is getting massively undersold. And it's not like people are hating on him; everyone recognizes he's going to be good. But I think it's more like we just talk about everybody else. We talk about Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean, and we talk about James Bradbury, like all these other massive names that they had. Whereas if they hadn't had such a big offseason, our main focus would be TJ Edwards, and it would be Josh Sweat in what is it, year 3, year 4,
yeah,
overall. But yeah, this linebacker core is by far the best linebacker core we've had in so long. And it's weird as an Eagle fan to have that because most good NFL teams always have one stud linebacker. It's like they always have one stud cornerback, they have one stud linebacker, and one stud pass rusher. And we've always had two of the three, but never the linebacker part. Like we've never had that. And now we have it this year. And I think it's going to make this run defense, the pass defense, you play against good linebackers, especially or good tight ends in the NFC, so much better, dude. Like again, it's just so hard to believe that this is the Eagle team that we're presented after what we've seen the past couple of years, where they would give you like one
yeah.
little tweak. It's like, oh yeah, a nice pickup, but nothing really else. Kind of just hoping Carson Wentz was going to be good. Now they went, okay, we're going to give you like all the pieces in one season, so get ready for 2022.
Yeah, seriously, I feel heard. I've never felt this heard in my life. It's amazing. Now, somebody else that gets a lot of attention and rightfully so is our quarterback, right? Jalen Hurts is the topic of a lot of discussion. A lot of people land in different areas with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
I just want to ask you, what do you need to see to really feel comfortable with Jalen Hurts moving forward, or are you already there? You know, that's a spot too.
I'm comfortable. Like if you watch my new show, the Thomas Mott Show, like I'm a big Eagles fan, or obviously a Eagles fan. I'm a big Jalen Hurts fan, and I really think he's going to have a very solid season. But there is part of me that's like, what if he doesn't? And there are plenty of scenarios where if he doesn't, you can go out and draft somebody in the 2023 draft. Like let's just play this out. I don't think we need to see a 35 touchdown Jalen Hurts for this team to be successful. I think we need to see a 30+ touchdown Jalen Hurts for this team to win playoff games. And I think there's a big difference right now in Eagle fans' minds in terms of what to overall expect, right? If Hurts is what he was last year, this will be a 9 or 10 win football team, and they'll struggle to win one game in either the wild or most likely the wild card round because they won't be, a first round bye. If this is 30, 35+ touchdown Jalen Hurts, or maybe, 3/4 are passing and then, 5, 6, 7 are rushing, this is a team that will beat you in the postseason. And I think now, with all the hype, that's kind of the expectation. I don't know where you're at on this. I think we all expect Philadelphia to win at least one playoff game. Like they should easily win the NFC East. They should easily win 10 games. They should 100%, obviously, with the East win, host a home playoff game. You should win that one because you're playing Dallas or Arizona or San Francisco, one of these other wild card teams mixed in there. And you should at least be in the divisional round on the road at Green Bay, on the road at the Rams, and be competitive in that. And so I think he is still this kind of giant unknown. Everything we hear out of training camp is that he's been good and the accuracy is up and everything is fine. Like there was a video on my channel yesterday where there was a whole article dedicated from the Monday Morning Quarterback about how he has improved accuracy. Like he has for sure gotten better in that category and his confidence is way up. But I do think that he is the difference maker in winning playoff games versus losing playoff games this year. The team will go to the playoffs with anybody. Gardner Minshew could take this team to 10 wins and a wild card berth, but can you actually win a game in the postseason? That's going to be the big determiner in how good we gauge Jalen Hurts after 2022.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. I've gotten the badge unfairly, in my opinion, that I am kind of a Jalen Hurts hater. I like to play devil's advocate. I
Right.
like to bring up the what ifs because we both know we sit here and we look at Howie Roseman. He made a crazy amount of moves this year, and next year will be no different if necessary. You know, we have the assets, we have the draft capital. So I try to tell my audience to be realistic. You got to understand that he is going to be on the pressure seat. But I think that what you said is perfectly true. Even if we get the exact same thing from him last year, I think that this team should take a little bit of a step forward, maybe not a huge one. But yeah, I'm looking for that barometer. I'm looking to see if he can lead our team to a playoff win. Maybe that's unfair. Maybe numbers are unfair to, really gauge, success off of. But I think that we'll see also the game within the game, right? Like we'll see what he's getting better at, what he's improving from play to play. So I think all that really plays a part. Now, there's going to be a lot of storylines throughout this year, right? We're seeing a lot of former Eagles, a lot of former coaches, players. Looking at and you add a Jason Peters now is add him to the list. You just look at this landscape, look at the storylines. What storyline, what player, coach are you looking forward most to kind of seeing play out?
I think staying in the division, the division's fascinating this year, and it's fascinating because Philadelphia is way better, and so how much better are they than Dallas? That's a big question mark. How much better are they than Washington? But Washington to me is a very interesting overall situation because they have talent. Like if you look at their depth chart, I was just scrolling through it the other day, and you're like, wow, okay, pass rushers, okay, offensive line's not bad. They got a stable of running backs, Terry McLaurin, the pass catcher. Like they're not bad overall. And if Carson Wentz plays really well, they could actually do something. They could be kind of dangerous. It very much hinges on Carson Wentz because without Carson Wentz, they're a Taylor Heineke, 8 or 9 win football team. And so they're interesting. You mentioned obviously former coaches, Doug Peterson in Jacksonville. Are they, 2 years away from winning? Are they 1 year away from winning? Is Trevor Lawrence going to take a massive step? I don't really know. But I think the big question mark for me going into this season as an Eagle fan, looking at other football teams, is Dallas. Like, are we about to see a major shape-up or a major shake-up with the Dallas Cowboys? And I think that they have set the stage after a completely mediocre offseason with no real additions. Like, I can't even name their first-round offensive lineman. I know his name's been said like 8 billion times, but they don't like him. They don't think he's very good. That's why they signed Jason Peters, right? I mean, is he going to start at left tackle? I have no idea. But other than that, all you can talk about is who they lost. They lost all these players. It's Dak Prescott, it's Micah Parsons, and CeeDee Lamb, and that's basically it. And if this team in Dallas fails this year, like if they, miss the playoffs, obviously, if they don't win the NFC East, if they go to the playoffs and get, bounced in the first round, you're going to see massive shakeups, which would be really good for Philadelphia because Dak is a good quarterback, and I'm fine with saying that. I don't think Dak's trash. I think Dak with a good football team can win you games, but they could fire Mike McCarthy. They could get rid of Zeke. They could go ahead and, purge a lot of these older players. You could see Dallas clean shop after this year, set themselves back a couple of years, waste the prime of Dak Prescott, and continue to be below average to average for 5, 10 more years, which would be good news for us. So I really hope that Dallas does take a step back. I think their week 1 matchup on Sunday night against Tampa Bay would be a really good indicator. Are they actually going to be competitive or not? And if they're not, they're going to blow the whole thing up, and they're going to go down to the basement where the Giants are at, and it'll take them a while to go ahead and come back, which means Philadelphia is set up. And again, we're all Eagle fans, and so we're glass half full, but Philadelphia is set up to win the division for the next 5 years. Like, as long as Hurts is good, this roster, mostly of young players, and you'll get out Kelsey and Cox, they're eventually going to go ahead and leave. But this roster is built to win the East the next 5 years. And if Dallas continues to stink, there's going to be no one in their way to go ahead and stop them.
Yeah. I think you hit that on the head because I have a show every Sunday with my buddy Big Game James, best of enemies. He's a Cowboys fan, and we go back and forth. And I literally said that to him today. I was like, if you guys don't do anything this year, there could be a whole lot of changes in Dallas land. So it's very, very interesting, and it's crazy to see the change over the past couple of years. I felt like Dallas was really hitting on their drafts. They were getting the right people in place. And then it just all fell apart. And now we're hitting it on the drafts and we're putting the right people in place. You look at just the offensive lines and the change there, right? It went from both of our teams having top 5 offensive lines to us maintaining that, and them now having Jason Peters as an option. So it's very interesting. I'm glad that you bring that up. Go ahead.
No, I was just say Dallas had a window. I mean, when they were 12-4 last year and they had that really good run early in Dak's career, that was kind of their okay, we have Amari, we have a younger Zeke, we have CeeDee Lamb, we have this great offensive line. Like, that was their chance. And I mean, what did they even win a playoff game? Has Dak won a playoff game? I don't even know.
I think he has 2. I think he has 2.
Okay,
I might be wrong. I might
they
be
haven't
giving them
gotten
an
past
extra
the
one.
divisional round, right?
Nope, not at all.
Yeah, see, I mean, totally wasted. And again, you can win with Dak, that's fine. And they could have a massive offseason this year and be better. But overall, it's not looking good in Cowboy land. And if they win 8 games this year, the drama is going to be way too fun to watch. It's just, oh man, it's too fun. It's too fun.
Yeah, and I don't want to like harp on the Cowboys too much,
I
but
know.
I will say they even kind of said Jerry Jones kind of said that last year was their all in year, and now they're trying to build. So it is what it is. It feels good. It feels good. But I do want to ask you this now that we just kind of bashed the Cowboys about their question marks. Look, there's a lot of good things in Philadelphia. We both know that, but what's one thing, if there is one thing that you look at this Philadelphia Eagles team outside of Jalen, because I feel like that's an easy one, that you're just like, if this goes right or wrong, this could kind of, scare me or make me happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, safety is still there with CJ Gardner-Johnson and Marcus Epps, although the things we hear are fine. As an Eagle fan, I start to wonder about James Bradbury just because Philadelphia has never been able to sign like a good free agent cornerback. You go back to all the big name guys that they went ahead and got. They were all total busts. Nani Asamoah, the guy from Seattle, Byron Maxwell. I mean, I have like those thoughts with Bradbury just because I didn't remember really watching Bradbury a lot with the Giants or fearing Bradbury a lot. So he's a little question mark for me. Thankfully, we have Slay, and he's not, the number one overall cornerback. I think the running game as a whole is a huge question mark. And I know that you can go with the Gainwell-Scott 1-2 punch like they did while Sanders was out last year. They were still the number one rushing offense. Like, they were fine. But I think this offense needs Miles Sanders. Like, they need explosive, 6 yards a carry, big play Miles Sanders week in and week out to be really, really scary, right? Because you can be scary with Jalen on read options and scary with A.J. Brown. Like, obviously, this offense is going to scare defensive coordinators to death, but they really need the running game to be healthy and really, really effective for this football team to go very, very far. And that's why I think a lot of people are talking right now about a potential trade during the trade deadline, right? I mean, we do everything in terms of looking back at 2017 because it was the year we won it all, and it was the G.A. trade. I don't know if there is that name out there. Saquon Barkley's name gets flashed like every 5 seconds. It's like they're not going to trade Saquon Barkley to us.
Right.
If they do, that means that he stinks, right? There's no way you're going to get a healthy, really good Saquon Barkley. So stop doing that. But I think Sanders is a huge question mark. And I think if Sanders were to stink this year, or Sanders were to get hurt for more than 3 games and miss a ton of time, obviously he's gone with the contract situation. And I think that they go out and try and find their Najee Harris in the 2023 NFL draft. I mean, again, you don't normally take running backs that early, but if you have a guy like Najee Harris, a guy like, Derrick Henry, I could see that being a big focus in 2023, especially if you don't need quarterbacks. So it's just hard to find holes, though. Defensive line is stacked. There are 0 holes there. You can make the argument that linebacker is still young, but we all feel confident the linebacking core is fine. Corner is fine. Safety, sure, if Marcus Epps stinks, but they wouldn't have cut Anthony Harris if he did. Obviously, they're great at wide receiver. They're fantastic at tight end. They're great at offensive line. Jalen is a question mark, but we won't mention that because we all talk about it 24/7. It's got to be running back. That has to be the one area. The only other one, and it's not a roster spot, and I did a video on this the other day too on my new channel, Jonathan Gannon. And I don't know where you were at on Jonathan Gannon this past year, but he drove me nuts. Like, he literally drove me nuts because you watched him during these games, and you play a bad football team. He would blitz more. He looked really, really good in terms of, trying to get after the quarterback. And as soon as he played a good quarterback, I think that the Tom Brady game early on in Philadelphia on Thursday night, I had to play the Cowboys. It was like, we're going to bring 4. We're going to play the same basic, shell coverage the entire game, and we'll just watch you shred us down the football field. If we literally go into this year with all this talent and Gannon schemes us poorly, and that's why we lose football games, I think Philadelphia fans are going to be so upset they're going to make him get fired midseason. I think Gannon is a huge question mark because I don't have question marks about Nick Sirianni. We know Nick Sirianni can coach offense. I feel fine about Nick Sirianni. I think Gannon has all these pieces, but he has this really weird kind of niche defensive scheme where he's like, it's my way or the highway. And it should work now. I mean, theoretically, they have the pieces, but if it doesn't, it's going to be like, oh my goodness, we're going to score 31 points, but then you're going to play Dallas and they're going to score 28 and it'll be a nail biter the entire time.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was 100% true. I agree 100%. That was probably going to be what I brought up. If you stopped at the roster, I was definitely bringing up Gannon. Because you said it perfectly. Last year, you saw if it didn't work, it wasn't going to work. That was it. There was no changes. There was no, halftime adjustments, which we're used to as Eagles fans. And you even look at Schwartz. A lot of people killed Schwartz over his 4th down defense, his 3rd and long defense, which is understandable. But at least at halftimes, you saw adjustments. There were obvious changes. We didn't see
Yeah.
that with Jonathan Gannon. I've had a lot of people. I've had Fran Duffy on here trying to explain to me what the defense was doing last year, and he's one of the best at what he does. And I was still confused leaving after this. So it's like, I don't know what we're going to get out of Gannon. I keep on hearing that either way, he's most likely not going to be here. He's either going to have a great, year for the defense and be a head coach somewhere, or he's going to have a terrible season and maybe not make it to the halfway point, like you said.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very, very interesting. And not only do I feel, we had Vic Fangio at our practices for like the first couple practices. I forget how long, but maybe he's a guy that they're looking at and saying, once this guy moves on, we'll put you in there. There's a lot of guys on this actual coaching staff defensively that I know a lot of people have their eyes on as head coaches or as defensive coordinators. So it's interesting. I think that he's kind of going under the radar a little bit. So I'm definitely glad you bring him up. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with him.
Defensive coordinator is so weird in the NFL right now because, like, on the offensive side of the football, everyone wants a young guy who is going to, grow with your quarterback and who's going to be the quarterback whisperer. It's like, where do we find Cliff Kingsbury? Where do we find Kyle Shanahan? Where do we find, the next great Sean McVay? But defensively, they're kind of torn right now because some teams really want the next young guy, and that's Jonathan Gannon. I mean, the guy's like 20. He's super young. He's not. He's obviously he's like 30 or whatever it is. Or they want to go like get the ancient defensive coordinator who's like been a head coach for a long time, like a Vic Fangio or like a Dan Quinn. And I don't think the NFL's figured out what they want in a defensive coordinator. But not to harp on Gannon for too long, and we can move on after this. There's a problem when you and I see clear issues with the defensive scheme, right? You and I are not. I mean, I don't know your background in football. I mean, I've played in high school and stuff, but like, we are not football minds. Like, we do not fully understand coverages. The average fan does not fully understand blitz schemes and Mike reads and all sorts of stuff like that. But if the average fan, and we did this a lot last year, sits in front of their TV on 3rd down and 8 and automatically knows what the Eagles defense is going to be, what is the opposing quarterback doing, right? What is Tom Brady thinking in his mind? That's just what infuriated me. You don't have to have the greatest defensive scheme in the entire world right now with the talent that you have, but at least show me you can make the good quarterbacks think a little bit and not just be like, okay, wow, this is an easy defense. Aaron Rodgers, shred. Because the schedule is set up right now where Philadelphia faces very few good quarterbacks, right? You get Kyler, pre-Nuke Hopkins. You're getting Carson Wentz twice. What is that? But you do have a couple of games where you got to play Dak twice. You got to play Aaron Rodgers. You got to play Ryan Tannehill. There are a couple of people mixed in here who could really shred you. And I could see a scenario where Philadelphia could be really, really good, 6-2, whatever the number is for that Sunday nighter against the Packers, where they have very few losses, and then suddenly the dogs are barking. Sorry about that. And then suddenly they start to struggle defensively.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm one of those fans that I'd rather die by the sword. I'd rather you go out there and blitz every single play and try to knock Tom Brady's head off instead of just sitting there and just kind of laying over and hoping he makes a mistake at some point. So I'm 100% with you. Look, the last topic I want to bring up is obviously the Lions game, right? I want to ask you just what are you looking for in this game from the Eagles? And I have to ask, it's almost contractually obligated by anybody that runs a podcast. Who do you got winning?
Yeah. So I'm going to do a shameless plug here. We also do this in the whole, podcasting industry. I just broke this whole thing down on my new channel, the Thomas Mott Show. So check that out. I did a whole video on it. But the gist of my video was, this is not the 3-win Lion team that everyone saw last year, or really your like dad's Lions for the past couple of years. They are actually talented. Now, defensively is where Philadelphia should gash them, right? They have Aiden Hutchinson, and that's basically it, right? You can't really name, I think Michael Brocker's on the defensive line. Not a lot of studs overall in that defense. They should be able to move the football at will on this Lion defense. And you saw the Lions get moved on in that Pittsburgh preseason game a couple of weeks ago, where it was Mitch Trubisky and the starters for Pittsburgh went up and down. Offensively, though, the Lions are legit's a hard word, but they're good, right? I think Jared Goff is still a fine quarterback. I think fine is, kind of the safe word there. He's not a great quarterback. He's a solid quarterback. I think that he can torch you if he's having a good day, but they have weapons. I think DeAndre Swift is super scary. Jamal Williams is a great second option. Penei Sewell's obviously fantastic. They have TJ Hawkinson, who's a very good pass catching tight end. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I drafted him on my fantasy team. Like, I believe in him that much. I think offensively, it's a really, really good opening test for Philadelphia just to make sure the defense is okay. My one hope is that they didn't overlook the Lions in their prep. And they've been game prepping for them, for months now at this point. But please don't overlook them. Like, please don't waltz in there and be like, man, we won the offseason. We have A.J. Brown now. We're just going to go dominate because we're going to blink. It'll be 17-7. We'll be down 10 going into halftime. And, like, Eagles Twitter will be just erupting. Like, nuclear sirens will be really bad. I think they're going to win. I said 27-17. I think it'll be a little bit slower for Philadelphia because the starters didn't play a lot during the preseason, if hardly at all. It was a one Jalen Hurts drive versus the Jets, and that was basically it. So I could see a slow start, but they should win this game. Like Joe, if they don't win this game, if they lose this game, I know it's just one. You can bounce back the next week against the Vikings, but oh my goodness, you're going to get ripped up and down. And Philadelphia fans hate whenever their team is on ESPN. Stephen A. Smith is talking trash, or Nick Wright on First Things First are talking trash, especially when we all know that they're really, really good. If they lose against the Lions week 1, it's going to be a very long week before week 2. But again, they shouldn't, right? They should be fine. I just don't see any other real defensive player stopping this offense. And this is probably going to be the same line I'm going to use for the rest of the season, right? What defense is going to be able to go up against Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, and Dallas Goedert, and Jalen Hurts' running ability, and obviously all of the running backs that we have, hopefully all healthy. I just don't see them stopping them. I think Philadelphia wins this one. And hopefully it's stress-free.
Yeah, we've seen that before, right? Jaguars game, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago, still during the Doug Peterson era, came out slow. We're down 17-0.
Dolphins game down in Miami, we came out
and
fast,
that bit us
and then
like
nothing in the second half. We can't have that. No.
Exactly. Yeah. So no letdowns, man. I am so excited for this season. This season feels different. So, Thomas, I appreciate you so much for this time. I told you off air, I am a huge fan of what you do. Keep it up. Please let the people know where they can find your new channel and where they can see you.
Yeah. So just on YouTube, just search Thomas Mott Show. It's just my name. I literally started it like less than a week ago. And so I'm at like 100 subscribers. So I'm kind of, building the fan base right now. So if you guys want to follow me there, go ahead and subscribe. Check out my videos. I'm trying to do a video every single day right now, which is a lot. We're trying to get as many as we can out there. And then on Twitter, @RealThomasMott, I tweet a bunch of stuff. You can DM me, ask me questions, all sorts of stuff like that. So no, this is fun. I think we should hit me up again during the season. Hopefully it's like week 8 and we're 6-2 and we're feeling really good.
Exactly. I definitely will. And I will have the link to your channel in my description. So definitely everybody, please go show support, show love. I am about to get out of here. If you are on Twitter, go on my Twitter @PhillyTP. Me and former NFL running back Akeem Hunt are starting our weekly spaces for Fanfield. So definitely come check that out. That's going to be a lot of fun. But other than that, y'all know what it is, man. It is Fly Eagles Fly. And we are out of here. Peace.
Yeah, fly was flying on the team. Touchdown, time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a bird gang nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here calling on Philly the podcast. And we can call a man dog or watch Miles score off the handoff. Rest of the division, your man saw Jackson like Sean, hunting like Randall. Season head, early time to do him in. Your boy Philly Fresco. Thanks for